you've won twice on tour now, and I want to kind of talk about that. The level of difficulty that it takes to win on the tour, and then sustain that success over the years.
Yeah, I feel there's a fact that makes easier to compete and harder to compete out here, which is social media, YouTube videos, access to content and access to information nowadays. That it makes golf so much easier for everybody, and everybody's getting better.
True.
But that also, that's the hard part. But the easy part is that you can do it too. Anybody can go and get access to every coach tries to put all the information out there. You can try it, you can learn, you can try and maybe see if it works. If it doesn't work, then you try something else. But everybody's like getting more and more and more information. And you can see players. You can see that there's more and more players getting to that high level.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Stay Tranquilo segment, Tranquilo Tee Time. We have Emiliano Grillo today, the Argentina. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with us and do this today.
Yeah, a little bit weird that it's a Latino in English, but
I know.
Sure, we'll go along with
it. The rationale behind that is, second, third generation Latinos are consuming most of their content in English nowadays. But we can do a little Spanglish.
Yeah, no.
And I'm Cuban. Born in the United States, pero mis abuelos son de Cuba.
Okay.
So, my culture and heritage has always stayed true to me. My grandparents have always instilled that culture in me.
That's fine. We'll keep it in English.
So we could do a little bit of both, whatever works for you. But one of the first things I wanted to talk about, obviously, you've been in the tour now for a while, but I want to go way back to your life in Argentina and how the game of golf started for you growing up in Argentina. If you could tell me a little bit about that whole world.
Yeah, I always say that my dad used to play before I started playing. He wasn't playing at the time, so when I for some reason I would grab some sticks, whatever it looked like, a little golf club or stick, or and I would start swinging at the house. So my parents were intrigued by it, so they bought me a set of clubs and they took me to the only golf course that we have back home, which is, I think I'm not sure still, but for a long time it was the only 18-hole golf course in the whole state. And it was almost like the little region where I'm from, it had 3 golf courses of 18 holes in 4 states.
Wow.
So, and we take big pride because we have 6 PGA Tour wins in that little golf course, Fabian Gomez and Jose Coceres. And, I grew up watching them, idolizing Jose. He was, he lost in the playoff here, unluckily. But it was fun, a lot of fun, a lot of friends. Man, you probably know this, but we really take pride in our culture. And, I growing up playing golf, I didn't have much of that because you would play golf on Sundays, and Sundays sacred for us.
Right.
So, but yeah, every time I can, I try to spend as much time at home whenever I can. And long time since I started, 27 years. My back is starting to feel that, and it's been a long ride.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's a common theme across most of the Latin American countries where golf is not very prevalent. There's not much access to a lot of courses out there, but it seems to be a change, I think, in Latin America where more countries are trying to gravitate and create more opportunities for people to be able to play.
Yeah, I mean, I would say they're trying to create more opportunities for good golfers, which is very nice. All the Latin American federations with the Latin American Championship, and then the creation of the, now it's fusion with Canadian Tour, but the Latino PGA Latin America. It was a huge thing. A lot of new players in the Corn Ferry now, and they're making their way to the PGA Tour. Obviously, for guys, people, kids just starting, still very hard because of the economy. I was just talking with a friend. Membership back home, it's $100 a month, and we can even reach 100 members, which is crazy. And
It
when
is
you
crazy.
compare it to minimum salary, it's very hard. And you have to buy golf balls, you have to buy golf clubs,
Right.
and so it's not easy, but people love it, and they're trying to go out of their way to get that membership and keep playing. They're trying to buy used golf balls, used clubs, and to just keep doing it. So, and that's why like you're starting to see more and more players from South America come out and compete, and more Latin American players winning on Corn Ferry, PGA Tour, and you start seeing more and more of that.
Oh, it's great to see. You had Nico won this year. Yeah, Rafa also won this year. So it's always good to see that Latino representation, not only on tour, but succeeding on tour. It shows like there's good golfers out there.
Yeah, and we all get along, and that's the nice part about it.
Yeah, it's funny because there's like that familia component with. It doesn't matter if you're Colombian, Venezuelan, Cuban, Puerto Rican. We all kind of understand
we're all
each
loud.
other.
We're loud and
we're
we'll
animated. We use
scream
our hands
across
a
the
lot.
golf course, and Americans they look at us like, "What are you guys doing?"
Yeah. So when you were in Argentina, you ended up making the move later on for high school to go to IMG, right? What was that process like in terms of making that decision, saying, "Hey, if I want to have a chance, I gotta maybe go to the States or play somewhere else to be able to get recognized"?
Yeah, as we all know, the main stage is here in the U.S. I was very fortunate. I was actually playing a junior event here. Everything goes around this place,
Yeah,
right?
this golf capital.
I was playing a junior event here. This guy Shane approached my mom and say, "Hey, like, we would like to have him over, and maybe we'll offer him a full scholarship into." And it was huge.
Wow.
I was playing really well that week. I ended up winning that week, and my mom, went on a car ride 3 hours from here and went to Bradenton, Florida, and I ended up living, whatever, the next 7, 8, 10 years after that. I was spending pretty much the entire year in there. I didn't do school in there. I got to a point where I was like, I was still playing a bunch of tournaments, doing my golf base out of Bradenton, and then I would go home trying to keep school. I don't know how. And then last 2 years of high school, I told my mom, like, I can't do this anymore. It's either one or the other.
Right.
Do you want me to keep in school? I will try, but not what I want.
Yeah.
And then obviously college was out of the question after that, and ended up being the right decision. Turned pro, got my car in Europe, and 14 years later we're sitting down here.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. It's funny because there's so many different ways now to be able to get your PGA Tour card, right? Do you think the opportunities have increased now? Where obviously I feel like it's difficult to stay on tour because it's more limited quantity of cards that they're giving out, but they're creating more opportunities between Q School, Corn Ferry.
Yeah, I would say it's harder now because look, when I got on tour, you had 50 cards given out from the Corn Ferry web.com back in the day, and that was I thought that was very unfair, but I was like, whatever, I take one of them. I don't care. I went and played. I played for 2 weeks on the web.com finals, and I got on tour. That was pretty unfair, if you ask me.
True.
And then you had guys playing all year for 25 spots, and then we would play 4 weeks for 25 spots.
Right.
And obviously the level was higher because you had guys from Europe, guys who were on tour. You could say it was higher, but it was definitely less competitive because most of the guys that were tired of playing all year, and then guys with a lot of pressure. I had my car in Europe. I came here, no pressure, got on tour, and it was very different. Nowadays, it's like you have to spend a full year in Corn Ferry, get in your car, or go to Q School. It's only 5 spots, so I would say it's way harder now. But that makes the tour way more competitive, harder, a better product. it ends up being better for everybody.
Right. And I think you bring up another good point, right? There's been a conversation around a better product in golf, right? To entice more people to watch on TV. Obviously, that's what it always comes down to is TV numbers and views and all that. What are your thoughts on the signature events and having some of these prominent players playing less tournaments, but more strategic about which tournaments they do play? Yeah.
My opinion, I'll be blunt. I always like to, I don't care the hard questions, and I don't mind saying what I think. I personally don't like signature events. The PGA Tour has always been I've heard this phrase, you eat what you kill. And, when you take the cuts out of the equation,
Mm-hmm.
when you get, I'm all for smaller fields, just not 70. I'm happy with 120. I'm happy with 100. Get a cut in there. We've criticized LIV for so long. And,
Right.
and I say we because I'm part of the PGA Tour, but
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't criticize other product and then go and do
Right.
virtually the same.
Right.
They're just more players.
Mm-hmm.
You could say it's better quality. We can argue that all day. But the tour has criticized so much, and then we end up doing pretty much the same,
Yeah.
and then we criticize their, and then we end up together. I'm not liking where everything is going, but if you ask me, I will give you my opinion, but
Yeah.
I can't do much. I
Exactly.
try to stay out of it,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just my opinion, and it does bring better players together every week.
Mm-hmm.
It does bring the best quality of golf every week, and yes, we want that. But the essence of the tour is, hey, you have the opportunity, you have
Exactly.
to earn it. You
Mhm.
still have to go play, and you still have
I
to
agree.
earn it. I mean, I've spent 14 years, or they got last year, but 13, 14 years going out every week, Thursday, Friday, trying to make it. Yeah, I love playing tournaments and knowing that I'm going to have a paycheck at the end of the month, on the end of the week, but it's not, I don't feel that's what the PGA Tour is about.
Yeah.
And
No,
I
agree.
wish we could go back to, I'm all for less players, but if you're gonna do tournaments like, Genesis or Arnold Palmer, we still have a cut. I'm okay with that because you still have to go out and compete, and Thursday and Friday you trying to give your best, and that's kind of like what the PGA Tour is about, and that's what I think, that it's basically an every week matters, and not so much of like, hey, I do my calendar around this, and,
Right.
and in the end you're still, you're taking away a lot of players from a lot of tournaments, like last week and
Exactly.
this week maybe the field is not as good as years previous, and obviously you can't make everybody happy, but I will personally try to get rid of them.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I agree with you. And it goes back to something you just mentioned, right? The tournament last week in Mexico, then you have the Cognizant Classic this week.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, you can't, even if you don't have them, you're still gonna have your week, your week fields and
Mm-hmm.
weeks where, yeah, you may not get your top 10s or top 20s in the world or from the tour, but it's something that I feel the tour has gone away from the essence of the actual PGA Tour.
Right, of what the product actually is, and I think that term, the weak field, is thrown around too loosely too, right? Because you have your big names, and not to take anything away from the star power that exists on the tour, but how many guys that are playing, like we saw this past week in Mexico, right? You had a rookie, 20 years old, that now has a platform to be able to play and show what he's capable of.
Here's a phrase that I always use: when you lose a player out here, you gain another one. How many times we saw, I mean, I don't know about Campbell last week, but a year ago we gained a star.
Exactly.
With Jack Knapp, and he came here the week after, and he finished whatever 4th or 5th, or I mean, he showed that even winning. I mean, the hardest week to play out here is the week after you won.
Yeah.
And especially if it's your first one,
Mm-hmm.
because you're mentally exhausted. And he came and played well, and maybe he didn't play as well, but playing after winning, I would say your next year, it's super hard.
Yeah.
Because now your bar is
Exactly. The expectation's so high. Yeah.
It's so high, so you want to keep doing it. You want to keep playing well. You want to keep winning, and it's hard to follow that up. And he did it, and I feel that anytime soon he'll be back in contention, winning again. But I feel that when you same happens when players get old and they either retire or they lose their edge out here, and then somebody else gets a spot and gets an opportunity, and you start. Well, we don't know who is it going to be.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And I feel like we're worried so much of keeping ours.
It seems like it's coming from a place of fear, right? It's like we need to cater so much to our top 20 guys and make them happy that if we don't, they might be gone.
Yeah,
which there's another arsenal of guys out there.
It's a balance, and I feel that the Tour has freaked out a little bit too much about it. But they're trying to protect their product, and I respect that.
Absolutely.
And again, this is my opinion, and nothing I can do about it.
Fair. Yeah, 100%. I appreciate the
Yeah,
dialogue. But you've won twice on tour now, and I want to kind of talk about that. The level of difficulty that it takes to win on the tour, and then to sustain that success over the years. Talk about that kind of difficulty it is to, one, obviously win, but continue to find that momentum. You play a lot of tournaments to give yourself an opportunity not only to make a paycheck, but you're also competing to try to win.
Yeah, I feel there's a fact that makes easier to compete and harder to compete out here, which is social media, YouTube videos, access to content and access to information nowadays. That it makes golf so much easier for everybody, and everybody's getting better.
True.
But that also, that's the hard part. But the easy part is that you can do it too. Anybody can go and get access to. Every coach tries to put all the information out there. You can try it, you can learn, you can try and maybe see if it works. If it doesn't work, then you try something else. But everybody's like getting more and more and more information. And you can see players. You can see that there's more and more players getting to that high level. I mean, when I got here on tour, it was probably 50, 60, I would say 70 players that could win every week. Now it's got down to maybe 100. So, I feel that even next year with the top 100, it's going to be maybe the entire field that has a chance of winning the tournament. And that's to me, that's great product.
Absolutely. I feel like that's what the
going back to it,
fans want more of.
You don't need to show them with the way it's going. I feel that the 120 number that they're trying to achieve, it's a perfect number.
Yeah.
And I feel that it's going to be, a great future ahead.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think that was a right. I mean, when I say, bad call from the tour, I say this is a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I agree. I think having that chance and that opportunity for more and more players to get an opportunity to get in the spotlight, get their name recognized. Because as a fan, you're a fan of the product of the game of golf, but you're also a fan of the players that play the game, right? I might tune into a tournament maybe to just watch a handful of guys, although I love the product of golf, but I'm really a fan and I'm rooting to see how these guys perform. And as more and more of these names pop up, like a Jake Knapp from last year, right? You're going to that's another guy you're going to watch, right? Outside of maybe whoever you've been a fan of prior, you now have 5, 6 more people that you want to go watch, and they may not be in a signature event. So I think as the game kind of progresses, I also think there's a lot of stories to be told, with players like yourself, kind of that don't get a lot of the spotlight, that you just gravitate to them and you root for them. So now I'm going to watch the product because that person is playing.
Yeah, I mean, look, like kind of the case is like Latinos want to watch Latinos, and
right.
Guys from Sweden, they want to watch their Norway, Sweden, their sort of area, and so on. So yeah, it's sort of like every other sport here and there, you either have your team, you have your players,
Exactly.
and the product obviously has to be good.
Yeah, 100%. You bring up Latinos. What would you say the tour and just the overall game of golf can do to gravitate more to the Latino market?
Well, economy has to get better. I feel that that's a common subject in the Latino community, that once you cross the border, California, Texas, all the way down to Ushuaia, all the way south.
Yeah.
Number one concern from 99% of the population, it's economy.
Yeah.
And golf is such an expensive sport that if we don't improve that, then we're not going to improve. That's why, football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, this podcast.
Yeah. You call it football.
Okay.
It's football.
That's why it's so popular, because it only takes a few dollars to buy one of them, and you need it.
True. Yeah, grass, a little bit of grass, set up a little goal.
Oh, there's no such a thing as grass back home when you're growing up. So dirt and maybe floor or something. But that's why it's such a popular sport. And other, like tennis, rugby, basketball, is way cheaper than playing golf. So, I as a parent, I wouldn't want to put my kid to expensive sport if I don't know if end of the year we're gonna
keep playing.
Yeah.
It is an investment, and even on the recreational side, I like to play, but it's an expensive hobby. Yeah. Just got to get the clubs, got to get the golf balls, got to pay for a tee time, and tee times are expensive now because everybody wants to play.
I just walked through the pro shop, and I remember the first time I came here, I was 13 years old. My dad gave me $1,000 for my trip for a week. Right, and I came back with so much stuff, and I bought a couple T-shirts from the pro shop too. They were, I think the most expensive one was $69.
Yeah.
Now I just walked and I looked at one just for.
It's crazy.
And it was 120. So it's double the price. Obviously, it's been almost 20 years, but it's double the price, and it just everything is just so different.
It is. It stinks because you walk into a pro shop, you like everything in there, but you're gonna spend $800 and you left with maybe 3-4 things.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
You gotta do more podcasts.
Exactly. Before the merch. So let's talk about a couple weeks ago. You were playing Waste Management, and obviously on the iconic hole 16, craziness, you hit a hole in one. Talk about that shot, that whole experience, because you dunked it, which was pretty crazy.
Perfect number. I did hit it a little right off where I wanted because the wind was right to left. So the strategy would be, aim sort of at the pin to just let the wind bring in and give yourself a putt. But it came out a little bit better than expected, and obviously, what happened. It was I didn't know what to do. You see me in the video, just running and turn around. I was playing with Rafa.
Yeah.
That was the best thing that happened to me that week, was playing with him, and he was ecstatic and more excited than I was. And
he's pumped.
And no, it was great. I mean, honestly, I couldn't pick a better hole to do it. And I've been very close for the last few years. I've been hitting really good shot on par threes. I think 2 years ago, I had the best average on tour on par threes, and I was very, very close a few times, a few cars. Last year on 16 at Genesis, there was a car for player and caddy, and I was very close too. And but no car this time. But
do you win anything for hitting hole one there? Nothing, right? Just a beer shower.
A little tap in the back, and
yeah.
Well
or a chest bump from Rafa, which is crazy because then Rafa puts it on the green, and then he I think it was a 15, 16 footer for birdie, and they erupted it.
Way longer than that.
Was it long?
I mean, he was telling me, hey man, I'm shaking. I don't know how I'm gonna hit this one. I'm like, well, make sure you hit the green, because and I'm like, Rafa, they're gonna boo you no matter what you do. So just, and then he hits the green. They both hit the green, and Rafa goes first and right in the middle hole, perfect putt, and then Seamus lifted maybe a cup short of the hole.
Yeah,
that would have been great.
On that hole, how long did it? Do you know how long it took for them to clean up the?
Yeah, a good 10-15 minutes. it felt forever.
Yeah.
So I was like,
what are your thoughts on that whole, like how that tournament is
I
kind
mean,
of presented?
I wish we had more
Okay.
of those holes, just those holes.
Right. Not a whole.
I feel that this year they try to keep it down a little bit more, and I think they did a better job. I think 2024 was way out of control. And as everybody knows, Saturday was really out of control, and they had to shut down. They had to shut the doors, and but look, that's what the tournament wants, and I understand it's a once a year thing, and I love it. I mean, it's somebody, I think it was Adam Hadwin's wife says it's a toxic relationship.
I saw that.
It really is, because you're like, man, I hate this tournament. You're there, like, I hate this. I'm not coming back, and then Monday you're like, man, I'm excited to go back next year. It's funny how it works, and first couple of years I was like, man, I don't like this. Everybody's yelling at your backswing. Can't even chip because everybody's like right on your ear. Hey, you better not duff this, and you duff it, and you turn around, you're like, let's freaking fight right now. That was my attitude first few years, and I was like, and then I think it was like 17 or 18. I went to the stands, and I was like, man, this is actually what the fans want. So I understood, and I learned how to like the event, and then I ended up loving it. And then obviously, probably the highlight of my career is in that hole. So in that tournament.
Yeah, that was awesome. I remember seeing it on TV. I'm being, oh my god, that's unreal. We were there for the tournament as well, but we weren't there that Thursday, so we didn't get. Or was that Thursday or Friday? That was Friday. That was Friday. So I didn't get to see that, but that was awesome, and congrats on that. So getting into now Cognizant Classic this week. What's kind of your thoughts going in now into the Florida swing? There's a few tournaments on the over the next couple of weeks. So what's kind of like your thought process now with the first tournament this week at the Palm Beaches?
Yeah, I've been here a bunch of times. Like I say, I was 13 when I came here first time. It's a hard golf course. You gotta keep it dry. Doesn't matter where, but you gotta keep it dry. Very grainy. It gets very bumpy in the afternoon. Hopefully the rain from yesterday will help for the week and will help the golf course. But probably the hardest finish on tour. If not, it's got to be top 3. It's got to be up there. Mostly 15, 17. It's pretty nerve-wracking. So yeah, I'm excited. My game is not in the best place right now, but you're always working towards your best, and I just gotta keep grinding and get out of the hole as soon as I can.
Yeah. When your game's not in the best place, like you say, how do you kind of keep your mind straight and confident when you're out there? Because obviously your level of talent is there, but you know that you have more in the bag. I guess
it's weird because I mean I love competing. And nobody likes to be, trying to dig themselves out of the hole. But if you learn how to love it, then you just stick to it and try to, you try to dig deeper. And if you gotta touch bottom, then you do, but it's only up from there. So
right, exactly.
You just gotta keep going, keep digging, and try to find that little secret that we're all trying to find. And once you do it, then it's game on.
Absolutely. And when you say the game is not where you want it to be, is that more from like a mechanical place? Is it more like a mental place? Is it I'm trying to work on this, but it's not translating into the results?
Yeah, when you're competing, you're trying to hit shots. So it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You just try to hit shots. So you get to a place where you're like, hey, I'm hitting it good. So you just go out and play, and then you just, start doing things that you're not meant to do, and you keep doing it just because it's, it's easier. And again, you're just trying to hit the shot. You're not thinking anything mechanical, unless you're trying to achieve something. But when you're playing well, you're not thinking about anything. Sometimes you're even putting so well that you're like, just get me on
It's
the green.
automatic.
And then, you know, bad form is growing up on you, and you know, it's the beauty about the golf swing is, or the best thing and the worst thing that we have is that we have so good muscle memory that once we do it, we can repeat it again and again and again. But once you start doing the bad ones, you know, it goes really quick in the other direction.
Right.
So that's the thing, just trying to find that. And once you find it, do your reps, and then you'll be fine again. But once you're there on the golf course, you just try to shoot the lowest you can.
Right.
So just get me in the fairway, get me on the green, it doesn't matter. And then obviously the putter where it makes a big difference out here.
Absolutely. And when you're playing, you know, you've played a couple of weeks now in a row. How difficult is it to be able to find the game when you're competing, you know, multiple days throughout the week, then traveling, and then playing another tournament?
Yeah, and you gotta juggle around podcasts and stuff like that. But,
we're taking it stay tranquilo, so it'll ease you into going into the round.
No, look, you gotta stick to your routine and trying to find it. You have very little time today. You know, you have 2 days to try to find it for Thursday. Obviously, I've been trying to find it for the last couple of weeks, and I feel like it's going in the right direction. I ended up getting like really good shots on Sunday. Score didn't show it, but it was probably my best ball striking day of the week, and you know, I kept the ball right in front of me, right where I wanted it. Little mistakes here and there. Sunday pins a little harder, and then the score is not there.
Right.
But I'm not worried about that. I would just, you know, I enjoyed seeing, you know, I think it was like 5 or 6 shots right where I wanted, right how I pictured it, finishing the round. So I was like, okay, we'll take that into next week, and I'm actually excited. I'm gonna go practice and hopefully see more of those.
We're excited for you. Well, before we wrap it up, we're gonna do a quick little rapid fire question called the sleeve. And the first question I gotta ask you. The sleeve. Yeah. Right. Three questions. You're Argentine. So my buddy's a big Ronaldo fan, so he wants you to settle the Messi versus Ronaldo debate.
There's no such a thing.
There's no such a thing. There is no debate. I'm a Messi guy too, especially now Inter Miami.
Look, he's Ronaldo. Cristiano. Let's put it out there. He's a phenomenal player.
Yes.
Phenomenal player. I mean, you know, hats off to him. He's achieved so much with teams he's played, you know, from Porto all the way to, you know, I would say all the way to United, because that's where his career finished. Just kidding, but not. But you can't put him on the same sentence.
I agree.
I just, you know, the guy who's achieved so much is the goals, the assists, with the size, you know, obviously Cristiano has worked really, really, really hard into his speed and skills, and hats off to it. Number 2 player of the last, you know, 20, 30 years.
Right.
And, you know, that's a high achievement, but you can't put them in the same sentence.
That's
I'm
fair.
sorry, but
I didn't expect anything less. Second question, your favorite Argentinian dish?
El asado. Asado, barbecue. Well, asado.
You can't go wrong with barbecue.
But that just.
Do you barbecue a lot when you're home?
Oh yeah, I try to do as much as I can.
Yeah.
I get sick of it.
Really?
I do. I get sick of it because like we eat so much. Like you get with your friends, hey, come over for dinner. I'm like, yeah. I don't even ask what we're having.
Exactly.
You just know that you're gonna have that. I mean, sometimes you have 5 times a week.
Damn, like that.
Yeah, and sometimes you do it Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning. So it's like, your liver is like, please stop.
But on the road, you don't get to eat really like that, right?
Well, no, because it's like, obviously you need the grill, the type of grill.
Right.
The charcoal is hard to find it. You find it, but it's hard. And then our cuts are different, so
okay.
everything.
It's not the same.
It's harder, but doesn't mean that we don't do it.
Where do you live full time?
San Diego.
In San Diego.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
at least most of the time.
And they have good Argentinian food out there? Or?
Well, I have a good friend that makes it, and he's got
okay.
the grill, he's got the charcoal, we get the meat, and
Nice.
makes it easier.
Awesome. And last question, what does it mean to stay tranquilo?
Stay tranquilo. Whew, that's hard in the Latin culture.
I know, it's funny, all the Latinos say the same thing.
Yeah,
I don't know how to stay tranquilo. I'm Latino.
No, I'm actually very tranquilo if you ask me. But I don't know, maybe a Sunday at home is very tranquilo.
Mm-hmm.
A little work in the morning and it's family time. A lot of food and a big nap after that. And then some quiet times after that.
Está bien. Well, appreciate the time. Best of luck this week.
Thank you. Appreciate it, buddy.
And we'll see you around.
Yeah.
Cheers.